Hi, in this video I'm going to show two different approaches to making backups for your projects. There's basically two ways of doing this, either to make it as a script if you have an IT department or at least an IT knowledgeable guy or girl who takes care of your systems. But if you don't have that, you could also do it more on a local basis. So this is what I'm going to show first, and this video might be quite long because it's going to take a few steps to go through this. To make a person in your production be the manager of backups is pretty easy. Just make sure that his account is set as an admin account. This one that I call merge is an admin account. So I go into my project and I go to miscellaneous settings, and then I go to backup and I say that at startup warn if backup hasn't been done in, well, 1 day, so every day. And I set a backup path, and setting the backup path you can point to anywhere in your network as long as this machine or this Windows user has access to that. So I just have hooked up a path called O before, and I made a subfolder called merge office, which is the name of this project. I go OK. And that's that. Either you can just restart the program to see that this works, or you can go to miscellaneous and then go to backup project. It's going to default by choosing this merge office folder that I had selected in my settings. It's going to tell you the backup will be saved as blah 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 .sql, and this is the important thing we're going to go through later on. It makes file name with a project name followed by today's date, 2014-05-10 / and then the time as it is right now. So I go OK, and if we are lucky, then this backup is made and it contains more than 0 bytes. If it contains 0 bytes, it means that the person who tried to do the backup didn't have Windows access to that folder or write access to that folder, and then that's another story. But presumably the person who's been logged into this machine has complete write and read access to this folder, and then everything is fine. So from now on, every time the date changes and they log into this station, it's going to say you haven't been doing any backup, do you want to do it now? And then you say yes, and this same action happens automatically, and you're going to have a new backup with a new date and time for every day. This is good as long as you can trust the person who is sitting on this station. This is good as long as this station will be logged in and out pretty much every day. Then you're going to have a complete flow of backups being done. But if you want to have a more administrative look at it, you would probably do this from somewhere else. You want to do it on a server, you want to do it in an environment that you have more control of than you would have on the project, the guys working in your project. So this is the next approach we're going to go through now. So another approach to doing backups is to have this in an administrative environment instead, and then we can completely forget about Realitylog clients because we will probably not even have that there. What we will have is the MySQL server. And I'm just going to close Realitylog. We are on my local machine right now, but that doesn't matter. This could be any machine on your network as long as you have access to it with your root account, your MySQL root account. And how do you get that if it's not on the actual server? Well, go to the actual server and open the MySQL workbench that should have been installed together with MySQL server. If it hasn't, you can just download it and install it separately. It doesn't matter. In order to use your root account from stations other than the actual server, you go into server administration, you double click your server instance, you select users and privileges, you select your root account that now says localhost, meaning localhost is the only machine that can access this account. And localhost is obviously your server machine. So you could either point out exact machine names or you can just go and put in a percentage sign. Percentage means any. It's a wildcard that means any machine. So you go apply, and from now on the root account will be manageable from any client. So it's super simple to change. So now that we have access to the root account from any machine, we could go and set up the the scripting service to do our backups somewhere else on a backup server or something. But for all points and purposes, it's easy. The easiest approach is to do your Windows task scheduling on the actual MySQL server. So I'm going to do that now. This one we can forget for now. We are on a machine that has the MySQL server installed, the one that keeps the projects for Realitylog. And I'm going to open a command prompt just to show why the thing about the date and time that I was mentioning before is kind of crucial to understand. And that's also what's going to take most part of this this video. If I write date, which is a normal do command, I'm going to get the date as it is formatted in this localization language, meaning I'm set up for Sweden right now. So this is how date looks for Sweden. Time looks like this. So this is the format that Windows is presenting your date and time with. And if you want to create a script that points out your project name, whatever, together with date and time, just to specify exactly when the backup was done, that takes some coding. It really takes some coding, because you can't use, for example, let me put it this way. If we take up the localization part in Windows, we go into control panel and we go to change location, and we select date and region and language. This is set for Swedish, so change this for English American, for example. Like that. We apply. We can even leave this up open and go back to our command prompt. And now if we enter date, we're gonna have a format looking like this. As you can see, it's completely different. It says LÖ, which is meaning lördag, Saturday. That's kind of weird. That doesn't say sat, but anyway, Saturday 05/10/2014. You cannot make a name. You cannot make a file name out of that. That will be invalid characters, so that won't work. I guess that the time looks pretty much the same as Swedish. Yes, it does. But still, we cannot use this. We cannot build a phrase saying my backup. Let's, for example, I should point out first that why am I talking about this? Why am I talking about command prompts and stuff? Well, if you want to make a script that is triggered by the Windows task scheduler, it has to target an exe file or something that can execute on its own, like without interference from anyone else. So one reason is obviously to write a code that I did inside Realitylog. I did a code that did all this work, but you have to trigger it somehow, basically with the person being there. But if you want to do this completely automated and working all the time without any interference, you could make it as a script, and this is what I'm going to show how to do. Some easy commands in DOS. If you want to write out some text on the screen, you go echo. So for example, echo date. Okay, you're going to have the answer is going to be your current date. To clear the screen, you go CLS, clear screen. And we're back up here. To try to start to make a file name that could be used, that could be automated to show my project together with time and date and .SQL as the extension, you would go something like echo my project underscore date underscore time and then .SQL, and this string would look like this. And as you can see, this is a completely invalid file name. This file name will not be accepted, so the backup is going to fail for sure. And the difficult part is that this is going to be different for every localization. If you're in Norway, this is going to look different. If you're in Denmark, Holland, Greece, wherever, Thailand, for example, is going to be different. It's going to look different. So we have to find a solution that always works, even if an idiot comes and changes your localization on your server. Even if you do some kind of master restore, you go back from Swedish to English, then everything's going to change and your script's not going to work anymore. So we need to find out a way to do this 100% foolproof. That's what we're going to do now. So I'm going into the folder or the mapped folder that I'm going to use for my backups, that again can be anywhere in your system. I just called it O, and there's nothing in it right now. I'm creating a subfolder that I call backups, and in this one I'm gonna want to make my script file that I'm gonna run from Windows Task Scheduler. So I do a new text file. I call it backups, for example, and it would end with BAT, batch file, so that Windows knows that this should be run as an executable file. I open this one in editor, and now we start to work. Let's close that one, and we're going to use some of the commands that we just talked about. First, another command called echo off, meaning don't show me what's going to happen after this, just do it without any prompt or anything. Rem means remark, so I'm just going to put in some remarks to make sure that I understand the script after, well, depending on your memory, in my case a day. So I'm putting in create a string containing the current date and time. How do you make a variable in DOS? You do something called set. Set str, meaning string, that's just a variable name, equals backup underscore and then date and time. If we try this in our command prompt, our test prompt, we just paste in the same text, set str equals backup time. Press, nothing happens. Now you want to see this. You go echo and then a period, and then you go percentage str and a percentage, and you get that backups underscore dot 73. Clear screen again, just to get rid of it. Go back to our script. Now we need to start to clean this up, clean this date and time mess up. So we'll do some commands. I'm going to cut them, paste them in from what I've done already. I'm going to paste in a few lines here. Set string equals string, and this one meaning change all spaces to nothing. So this area should be changed to whatever is after the equal sign before the percentage sign, meaning nothing. So remove all spaces. Okay. And I just put this rem after so I can remember this command, because you don't do this very often, so it's pretty easy to forget. Then I want to start to do other stuff like that. I want to remove all the minus or slashes. I just remove it to nothing. Okay, I keep going. I will paste in some more lines for you instead of writing, because that takes time. Other characters are invalid as path names. Slashes are not valid as a path name. Spaces are normally valid as a path name, but not in a script that's going to do a backup. Periods, commas, colons, dollar signs, and then we need another one. We need a backslash. I don't know if that ever exists in time or date measurements, but just to be sure. So we are basically doing all these steps just to remove periods and replace it with nothing, remove commas, replace it with nothing, remove full colons, replace it with nothing. Oh, that's the thing I remember. I forgot. Semicolons should also be removed. Okay, and replace it with nothing, and so on. Now we clean this string up. If we do this now, and then also we end by adding the .sql. If we take this whole bunch of lines and we go back to our command prompt and we paste it in like that, all of this has now been done. Okay, so the string variable should look very different. To see that, we have to put echo on again. Sorry, echo on, otherwise nothing's going to happen, nothing's going to be shown. So then we go echo dot and our variable string, Now it looks way better. Backup LE0510 to 14 underscore 13113674.sql. A very accurate time for when this backup will be done. Hasn't been done yet. This is just the name of the file. If we now go back to our localization in Windows and we change to something else, we change to, I don't know, to Romanian. That looks different, so let's take that one. And we go the same thing. We paste in this, run it, ask for echo on, and then look at our string. It looks fine. They just have a different format for how to define the dates, but apart from that, file name is perfectly valid and could be used. So we're getting there. Now that's the part of isolating all the weirdness in date and time, and now we're just going to build up the actual backup string. The next thing we can do to make life easier onwards is to make another variable that contains our project name. So we go set prod name equals, let's say the first one is like this. I know I have a project called Hfruar1. So now I've made a variable that contains the information about the actual project name. So that's cool. And then now go to the next thing. Go to the actual backup line. The backup line is formatted and looks like this. MySQL dump.exe is the exe file, or the actual application that makes backups. This -r means we're going to take information out of our project, not put it in. We're going to take it out of the project. This is our path to where we want to put our backup. So I'm going to change that one. That one in my case would be O :/, and then I'm just going to double check because I can't remember. Backups. Okay. And I'm going to call this Hfruar1. So I make a subfolder called Hfruar1, which is my project name. So backups /Hfruar1. And now we want the actual name. So the name will be our production name. Inside percentage signs. Prod name is the variable for our production name, followed by this that we have done so tediously and very carefully, the string that contains the information about date and time, also inside percentage signs. The following variables inside this string is --user equals root. I'm using my root account to be absolutely sure this is going to happen, that this is like a valid account. --password equals, well, the root password is normally sysadmin unless you've changed it. In that case, obviously you have to change this. And then the last thing is the actual MySQL database or project name, which in this case is Hfruar1. That is a complete command for making a script-based backup. So we're going to save this. Save. We turn our command prompt away, and we open our folder, our O folder. We have our backups, a batch file that we just did. We have our empty subfolder, and if we run this now, we probably should get a backup done. So I'm just going to double click it. Okay, you don't see much here because we put the echo off in the start. The echo off means that we don't want to see what happens, we just want it done. And hopefully we have a backup under here. We have. Hofruar, backup, the date, the time, and it's perfectly formatted, and it will work even in Romania. So that one is pretty secure. Now, a cool thing about this is we could make backups of several different projects at the same time. Let's put another one. Let's put the one that's called Merge Office. A new subfolder called Merge Office. Let's put another one called Merge Island, which are two different projects in my system. I'm opening my batch file again, and I'm doing something simple like this. I'm taking this line, the prod name, I'm changing it to Merge Office. I copy the actual dump command, or the actual backup command. Okay, I changed my subfolder to this, and that doesn't feel right? Because why cut and paste in the same text several times when we have this variable prod name? So instead of doing this, we do this. We do percentage prod name percentage, meaning use the variable. Same thing here. Percentage prod name percentage, use the new variable that now is set to Merge Office. And over here, same thing. And over here, same thing. Okay, we save this, and to make sure that this works now, I'm gonna delete this one. I'll take it away just to make sure it's not there. There's nothing here. Nothing here, nothing here. Okay, and now we run this. Okay, and now we should have one backup here, 5.9 meg, and a smaller one here because it's a small project. Okay, now we have made a very simple script that can make several backups after each other with very exact date and time on when it was done. So this is kind of cool, and now what we have left is to make this automated. How do you do that? Well, you open the window task scheduler thing. Here it is. Here you can make your task scheduler. We could make subfolders and stuff. I'm just going to put it on the top to making it easy. I make a create basic task. I call it Realitylog backups. And then create backups of all active projects. Next. How often do I want this? Daily? When do I want this? I want this at, for example, when people are definitely not at work. 0400. Okay. And recur every 1 day. That sounds good. Action. What should I do? I should start a program. What program? We go to our O drive that we set up, or however you do this. This is really up to you. But this is one way of doing it. We go into our backups and we select the backups batch file. We need no arguments because everything is in the batch file. We don't need to start in somewhere special because that's in the batch file. And then we go finish, and then we go finish. Okay? So just to make sure that this works now, because stuff happens in Windows, we select our newly made Realitylog backup, runs at 4 o'clock every day, but you can trigger it from in here. You can just ask to run it. So we're gonna run it now. Boof, like that. And now we should have 2 new backups because the time is in milliseconds. Okay, so we have one backup that we did, and we have one backup that the task manager did, and same thing for here. Okay, now this system is completely automated. As long as people don't mess it up, this will run every night at 4 o'clock and make sure that the backups are done. And the cool thing is that the the batch file will keep running even if it gets an error from one of the backups. You can just now and then go in and check that the backups are running every day. But if one fails, the other projects will have backup still. That is one way of doing backups. I hope that this was informative, and give us a call if you need some other info. Thank you. Bye.